Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on what time of day it is. This is LaRouchePAC, the lead, and I'm reading. This is Katanya Alvin of or Project Truth Warrior, and I'm a member of the LaRouchePAC over here in England. And what a great man! He's now something like 95, but the organization is set up is fantastic. Of course, a lot of negative information about him if you do a research, but I assure you they know what they're talking about. So here it says, final days before election, learn the lesson of the Great War. And above that, new international economic order, American credit system, and London Saudi global terror stop World War III. Okay, so it gives you an idea. Right, there's no video, so I'm reading this. Monday, November the 5th, the last day before the most important US midterm election in history, I so agree, will see Donald Trump speak at 3 rallies. In Cleveland, Ohio, Fort Wayne, Indiana, and Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Hope that's how you pronounce them. The fake news press is hysterical that Donald Trump may have overcome the British instigated McCarthyite witch hunt against him, aimed at provoking a war with Russia and China. This is exemplified by the war party's leading newspaper, The Washington Post, whose lead op-ed today with Dana Milbank is entitled, "We have no excuses now, our eyes are wide open," and then he details what he views as Trump's evil ways, oh dear, including he took Vladimir Putin's word over that of the US intelligence community, and what rats some of those have been discovered to be. Accepting Russia's denial that it interfered in our elections. Yeah, I wonder who's been interfering in your elections. He concludes, will we take a step, ever a small one, back from the ugliness of the race baiting and that has engulfed our country, or will we affirm that we are really the intolerant and frightened people Donald Trump has made us out to be? What a load of twaddle. That's your Washington Post for you. LaRouche goes on, and I think it's probably by Hilda Zapp LaRouche, but I'm not sure. But the truth is far different than the evil Washington Post would have Americans believe. Helga Zapp LaRouche, that's Lyndon LaRouche's wife, looking ahead to the critical meeting to take place between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin on the sidelines of the event honoring the 100th anniversary of the World War I armistice taking place in Paris on November the 11th, issued a statement. Sleepwalking? Have we learned how the First World War came about? In reporting on her recent trip to Moscow, she notes that her many meetings with representatives of the leading institutions gave her a first-hand impression of what the Russian point of view of the strategic situation looked like, from the various steps taken by the West and NATO's expansion up to the Russian borders, and build-up of the missile defense system in Romania and Poland, which can be transformed into an offensive system within a very short time. the cancellation of the ABM treaty, I don't know what that is, and now of the INF treaty, as well as the different narratives portraying Russia as the enemy. Imagine the enemy image and Putin as a demon. The Russian leadership has very clearly drawn the conclusion that a major war cannot be ruled out. Now, let me just, she goes on to World War One. World War One, I have had no legitimate cause. World War One had no legitimate cause. The British believed in the Halford-Mackinder doctrine of geopolitics, that in order to sustain their power based on their control of the seas, remember, Rule Britannia, all the British little girls and boys had to sing, and the global financial system, they indeed, whereby the Bank of England pulled out of the silver and the gold out of the majority of countries, they need, even before the even before the First World War, and certainly between the two world wars, they needed to prevent any coalition of nations across Eurasia from achieving the power to challenge the empire. Such a development, so they set Russia and Germany at each other's throats. No, where have I got to? Such a development projects as Germany's Berlin-Baghdad Railroad or Russia's Trans-Siberian Railroad, creating connectivity among the nation of Eurasia, wherein themselves intolerable threats to the British Empire, because they wanted to rule everything, and I really wanted to keep the Russian people and the German people, both which were soul sisters. Think of the music of both Germany and Russia, and the great musicians, and also think of the great writers of those two countries. Better to blow things up with a lovely little war to keep the world divided and weak. That war so destroyed Europe and so punished the loser Germany that the rise of Hitler and the horror of World War II was the almost inevitable result. And just to say that actually World War I was started by the Brits being behind the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand in Austria, and that was the trigger that started, and behind that British agent, also behind the assassination of Rasputin, who was a very great confidant of the Tsarina, because he'd saved her son, very serious illness, and it was Britain, the assassination of Rasputin. So all these things add up. I'll go on a little bit further, the whole thing done. And so again today, the British Empire and its assets in the US have unleashed hysteria and lies against Russia and China, against the connectivity of the new Silk Road. Here we have, here, full text of how Hitler defied the international bankers. However, when Germany broke free from the bankers declared war on Germany. Ellen Brown discusses her topic in her book, Web of Debt. Make every state red, and God bless, and God bless Trump, and God bless you all. It matters to the world. And an important note here, I put World War II. This is an old archived. Great Britain at war. Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain declares war with Nazi Germany. King George VI shakes hands with Neville Chamberlain as he left Downing Street following the declaration of war with Germany. Don't forget, Britain declared war on Germany, and Neville Chamberlain was obviously actually doing the bidding of the bankers. God bless everyone, and keep everything rosy red. Katanya Alvin, Project Truth Warrior, signing out.